Hello, guys. Welcome to the True Football Show, episode one. This is just going to be a brand new show that I'm going to trial on the show where I'll be getting different football fans in, just discussing topics that are happening in the country at the moment. I've got Ryan Maguire, who is a big Arsenal fan. Welcome, Ryan. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me, mate.
So I'd like to go on about. I'll start with the international break. What do you think of the England squad as a football fan?
Yeah, there's a few questionable call-ups in there.
Yeah,
We'll put it lightly and say questionable. There's arguments for dropped players and players that aren't there. There's arguments why players are there that shouldn't. It's an England call-up. An England squad's always raised debates no matter what. Anyone that supports a team with a player that might be able to get called up is always going to argue that they should be there. But I think this time we've got fans of players who have been called up that aren't happy about them being called up. So that shows you.
yeah. I mean, I'm just literally, oh, balls. I'm literally just sharing the link for people. There is. I mean, there's two United players in there, Maguire and Shaw, and I love Luke Shaw. I really do. Probably because of my last name as well. But neither of them should be in the team.
Well, that's it. Is Shaw starting for United at the minute?
He started the first two games. Hasn't started since. Didn't start last week in Europe because he had the niggle. He came off the bench yesterday, but I think because we haven't had a game since Arsenal in the league, and we haven't got a game this weekend, I think Eric put out his strongest team minus Rashford. So Malassi has started again. But the only thing I could think that he's picked Luke Shaw is, I mean, I'm looking at the left back positions and he's chosen Luke Shaw and Chilwell, and neither of them are playing for their clubs because it's Cucurella for Chelsea.
Well, Chilwell's not playing for Chelsea, but they want him. The fans are all shouting for him, aren't they? And Cucurella's not better than Chilwell for me. It's good as competition, but he's definitely not better than him. So if he starts for Chelsea, then Chilwell gets in 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I would have picked James Justin for Leicester. I don't know if he's injured, but I know he played against us a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if he's injured. I've not seen anything, but I mean, he's one player that I would have in. He can play it right back. He can play it left back. I'd have Ben White in. Again, he can play right back. He can play left. He can play in the centre, and then it goes to like Jadon Sancho. Should he go in? And when it was announced, I said Jadon Sancho shouldn't have got in as a United fan. And even after yesterday's game, I stand by that comment. He scored yesterday, but he didn't do much else. And he seems to be. He did it against Leicester. He did it against Liverpool. He scored, but then he didn't do anything else. And I'm not saying that Grealish has done anything or Sacco, but to be honest, there's so many players that are actually in this squad that shouldn't be in it, in my opinion. But then the one problem is, who do we bring in instead? I mean, Calvin Phillips, I don't even think he started for City. I don't even think he came off the bench Wednesday, 90th minute or something. And I'm like, I just don't, especially with it not being, especially with being Nations League as well, and we've got Germany and Italy. I mean, they're not easy clubs, but
well, last time we played the Nations League, Southgate didn't care about it. It was after the Champions League games when he didn't call. I don't know if he called Kane up or not, but he certainly didn't play him. And it was. Is it because he's come out of the Champions League? But the other teams in it whose players had been in that Champions League final were still playing, and it's not a Euros and it's not a World Cup, but it still is a trophy and it's something we can stick in the cabinet. So we should still 100% be just to boost morale of get the country behind us again. But it's just it seems like Southgate doesn't care about it. But that being said, the squad doesn't look like is resting players. For me, he's calling up what he thinks is his best squad now. It's definitely not for me on terms of form. The likes of Maguire form wasn't there, not playing. Shaw not playing. Calvin Phillips not playing. The City lads that aren't playing at the minute trying to break into a team playing well, and it's not their fault that they can't break into that team. So I understand with Calvin Phillips. To be honest, I kind of understand with most of the others as well, in the fact that I feel like he's calling up the players because they've not let him down yet. Obviously, we got to the final, which we can't complain about. In terms of the players wise, we can't complain about. The tactics in the final we can complain about, but that's on Southgate. But I know that you agree with me that Southgate's not the manager anyway, but not the one who should be. But that's we'll get onto that in a bit maybe. I feel like he's called up the players because they've not let him down. Like Maguire, when it's mattered, hasn't put a foot wrong for England for me.
He was one of England's best players at the Euros.
And at the World Cup previous, he was mega. So I think in terms of that, but he has said that he calls up on form. But all England managers say that. Sven-Göran Eriksson used to say that, and he never did. It was all just his best pals or whatever. So I feel like he's calling up because he's not letting him down. But that's not they're playing at club level to audition basically for the England to get into it. So if they're playing well, they should be called up. I agree. I don't think Sancho should be there. So I agree with you on that side of it. Rashford should be there though.
He's injured.
Like Rashford should be there. He's injured.
Yeah, he's injured.
Right,
Me personally, he was the only United English player that deserved to be in the squad, and he's not in it because he's injured. But I go and have a look at say Mason Mount, who played pretty much quite a lot for Chelsea this season. Probably hasn't even been dropped or anything, and his performance has been. I mean, I've always thought Mason Mount was overrated. I thought it at the Euros, and I just don't. He's one that shouldn't be in there. Who has been playing. I mean, yeah, you could say he's not let England down, but to me, he's not done anything for England.
He's not stood out. He's not set the world on fire.
Not like Maguire, not like Shaw.
No.
And going back to like winning the Nations League, in my opinion, I don't think it's not as more prestigious as the Euros or the World Cup, but in my opinion, I think it's harder to win because you've got Germany, you've got Italy in your group, whereas in the World Cup you've got USA, Wales, and is it Iran? I mean, you should be winning two of them by 3-4 goals. No offense to Iran or USA, but you're playing much harder teams in the Nations League. You're not playing these part-time teams, so it is actually harder to win. Hello to Tony Claude, Gunner TV, and hello to MUFC Oliver. Nice to have you. So it's for me. I mean, I don't support England. I never have, not for years, just because of the bias towards United players. Whenever England lost in a tournament, it was Man United players' fault. Beckham 98, Phil Neville 2000, 2004. I don't think anybody got blamed. And then from 2006 onwards, it was Wayne Rooney every single year.
Which one was 2004? Was that? Do you mean the World Cup?
No, 2004 was the Euros when.
Is that when Rooney broke through?
Yeah,
Is
we
that
got
when-
beat by Portugal when Wayne Rooney got injured
Yeah,
in 2000.
on penalties again, wasn't it? We got
Yeah,
beat us twice in 2 concurrent
and
competitions
then
on
2006 was the Rooney Ronaldo red card incident.
Yeah, which is there's one where that Ricardo took his gloves off in goal. That was a mega move. That if you look back on that, the to get in the striker's head, taking the penny, just to take the gloves off and go, I'll save this gloves or not.
Yeah.
That was epic. That like, and
Yeah,
I hated that.
agree.
And then there was the wink, weren't there, when he got Rooney sent off.
Yeah.
Like everyone hated Ronaldo for that, but I was like, that's what
Apart
you
from
do.
United fans.
You
Yeah.
target. You like. There's a bit right. So good example. There's a big thing at the minute because it's like an anniversary of that Shearer and Roy Keane thing. Have you seen that on Twitter?
No.
So it's about 20 years or probably more.
When they had the fight.
Yeah, they have a bit of a coming towards.
Yeah, I think it's around about 2002-ish.
Yeah, so Shearer doesn't do much, and he just aggravates Keane, and then Keane gets sent off, and Shearer just watching him walk off. And that's what Ronaldo did. You target him, you get him pissed off, and that's how you do it. Like I brought up rugby league as well, and when I was growing up, that was the St. Helens tactic all day long. They'd go with them high tackles, and they'd just piss the other players off, and then make the other players react, and then just like laugh about it in the back. And that's obviously what Ronaldo did to Rooney. So I kind of think it was fair play. And then if you're getting down to penalties, it's not really anyone's fault, is it? It's kind of a 50-50 deal.
No, and 98 were lost on penalties. 2006 were lost on penalties. Wayne Rooney and Beckham got the blame. But then I'm like, so if Beckham had stayed on, if Rooney had stayed on, we would have won in normal time. We just don't know, and it just really grinded me that the blame. I mean, even after the Euros when we lost, obviously Saka got targeted, Rashford got targeted, Sancho got targeted. Sancho got targeted as if he was a United player, even though because it was pretty much he was going to sign for us.
He signed after the tournament.
Yeah, and it was just.
I remember he signed. He'd not been starting. He signed, and then he played the game after, and they were like, "Oh, Southgate's playing the big players again." Obviously, They need to win, so it wasn't that.
And I said it at the time. I thought bringing Rashford on, bringing Saka on, just to take a penalty in the. I mean, many managers do it, and it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But you had Rashford, you had Saka, who, in my opinion, could have come on 20 minutes earlier, could have tried and win the game. In my opinion. But then again, I know Rashford shouldn't have gone. He wasn't fit. There's no two ways about it. Everybody knew he wasn't fit. But I mean, Saka had a sort of reasonably good tournament. And I'm just thinking, why not bring at least two players on earlier, 10, 15 minutes? It happened. I mean, Solskjaer came on in 99, I think, with 10, 15 minutes to go, and he got the winner. I just think it's ridiculous that you bring him on just to take a penalty.
And he's bringing on to take penalties in a Euro final 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds. Like that's your experienced players' time to shine. Like it didn't work for him against Juman last year, but West Ham, when they bought Mark Noble to take that penalty, again, that was a stupid decision because he was coming straight on and taking it. He wasn't even warmed up. If he'd have come on 10 minutes earlier, I 100% think he scores that penalty. But that's for your experienced heads, or I don't know, to bring kids on. It's a bit of a risk. A lot of the kids have no fear, so it could work in that aspect. But then again, Donnarumma's an absolute beast anyway. So he could have played all game. Could have been 30 years old, and he's still saving it because he's about 12.
14. I agree. I think with Rashford though, I think he's about 23, 24 when he took it. But the thing, I mean, was it last summer? It was, wasn't it? Yeah, last summer. Yeah. It's crazy how I think COVID has knocked my how long it. But I mean, he took that penalty for United in 2008 against PSG, knowing that if he scored, we were going through. If he missed, we were going out. So I mean, there was pressure in that. Granted, it wasn't a final, but I mean, I think bringing Saka on, who had a good tournament, he should have come on much sooner to try and win the game rather than trying to win it on penalties. We know our record in penalties. It's absolute shocking. It makes me wonder if they even bother training them. I mean, I'll be honest. When Maguire stepped up to take that penalty, I was like, "What?" I'm like, "What the hell's going on here?"
Ended up being the best penalty as well.
It probably was. It was absolute.
Drama.
You just don't save them.
But I mean, that's the thing. Obviously, you could argue against my point of being young because obviously Juninho stepped up for them. Their most experienced penalty taker and had it saved. So anyone's. It's just penalties are an absolute gamble, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, look at. I don't like mentioning this, but I'm sure you won't mind. 2005 FA Cup final. I'm sure you remember it.
A bit. Do you want to just remind us of what happened in that game?
Yeah, Man United destroyed Arsenal for 2 hours, and you won it on penalties.
And then what happened?
You won it on penalties.
Oh, that's on penalties, yeah. That was like our last trophy for about 100 years, so that's why I remember it.
Riera's last kick for the club. But I mean, the player that missed a penalty was Paul Scholes. I mean, by then he was. So, I mean, Ronaldo, best player in the world in 07-08, steps up to take a penalty in the Champions League final, misses it.
Is that the John Terry slip final?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
that was a belter, that wasn't it?
And then who missed the decisive penalty? Nicolas Anelka.
Shite. Has he not? Mentality, he was all over the place, I think.
But I mean, he'd been playing football for at least 10 years because I swear he signed for Arsenal 98-ish.
Yeah, he signed at Arsenal when he was 18, 500k, and then I think he was about 20 when he went to Madrid for 18 million. So
exactly, yeah. I mean,
basically, Anelka used to take his brothers with him wherever he went, and then when his brothers got bored, they'd be like, "We want to go somewhere else," and then he'd move. Then he'd just move club.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching that Champions League final, obviously being a United fan, and when Anelka was stepping up, I looked at his face and I'm like, he's going to miss this. He didn't look confident, and he missed it. And I wasn't surprised. And the only thing that was surprising was such an experienced player walking up in a big game. He'd been in World Cups, Euros. He must have definitely been part of the Euro squad in 2000. I don't know if he did anything, but I mean, for an experienced player like that to step up and look absolute like he's going to shit himself and then miss, it's crazy. It really was. I just knew he was going to miss. I mean, not taking anything away from Van der Sar, it was a fantastic save, but I just knew he was going to miss. He just didn't have the confidence. And if he had scored, it would have been literally Van der Sar dived the wrong way. That's the thing with penalties. It's a lottery, but you can't really show fear when you step up to take a penalty.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you mentioned Paul Scholes before. I would like to know if you're in the prime, would you take Paul Scholes or Kevin De Bruyne? Oh. And don't be biased because of that big rival, your own player, because there's still the debate of Lampard and Gerrard, and then there's Lampard, Gerrard, or Scholes. We're not quite, for some reason, we're not there yet to say Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, or De Bruyne, because he's definitely he's right up there. I'll give it your turn, and then I'll go.
Well, if in the Scholes, Lampard, Gerrard debate, it was always Scholes for me. The problem with Scholes and De Bruyne is they're completely two different players, in my opinion. Just because when Scholes was playing, it was a 4-4-2 formation. Kevin De Bruyne sometimes plays number 10.
Scholes isn't defensive though, really, is he? He's more.
No, he can't tackle.
his tackles are wild, man. He's absolutely wild at tackling.
I mean, when he came back after he retired, he actually came back and he must have been learning how to tackle, because when he came back, he actually came back quite a better tackler than when he left. It's like I say, it's difficult because it's two different eras. I'm gonna have to go for Scholes, but Kevin De Bruyne for me is one of the best midfielders of the last 10 years. There's no two ways. I don't think he's City's best midfielder in the last 10 years. I think for me that goes hands down to David Silva. I honestly think David Silva is me. I mean, my dad's a City fan, and we sometimes say, who's the biggest City player since the money? And there's like Kompany, Aguero, Silva, and it's always them three. And for me, Silva. Out of those three, I'd say Silva. Who had the best impact? Probably Aguero, because of his goals. But I mean, Kompany was a fantastic captain. Kompany was a nobody until City bought him. And I do think I remember reading a story that a year earlier, before he signed for City, Ferguson wanted him, and I think we went for Vidic. I can't remember the full story, but I'm sure there was a story where Ferguson wanted Kompany and he got somebody else. And I'm guessing it was.
Yeah, obviously, I've not heard the story, so I can't comment. But I feel like Vidic was quite a few years before, so it might have been.
It was 2006, and Kompany I think signed for City like 08, 09.
Right.
I can't really remember the year. I mean, he was there he was one. I remember he was one of the first ones that went there and stayed there a long time. He was like Silva, Yaya, Tevez.
Yeah.
But I mean, so who would you say, Scholes or De Bruyne?
I feel like, obviously, you're saying a bit of a different position, where I feel like it's a very similar position. I feel like especially if it was now, I think Scholes would be more of the 10 kind of player, a bit further up. Obviously, United have a thing of your strikers, they drop them back, don't they? Obviously did it with, like, say, Rooney and Smith and whatnot. They seem to start coming back into midfield, so use them as a 10. But I feel like Scholes is more attacking. I don't know what other City midfielder I would compare him with, because obviously you can't compare him with David Silva because they're complete different players. Yeah. But I would go De Bruyne, because I feel like I wouldn't want to compare him to any Arsenal players, because I'd be picking De Bruyne all the time, and I don't want to do it. So I feel after him against a lot of the Premier League, the Premier League midfielders, is absolute world class. He's just world class all the time. And me and my mate always laugh because the fact he doesn't look like he's good. When he's not got the ball, and then I don't mean during the game. I just mean like before the game, or like just when you look at him, he doesn't look like he's going to be a good player. I know that's a stupid thing to say, but and then when he gets the ball, he just, like, he scored with his outside of his foot, didn't he, the other week? And you're like, I didn't even know he had that in locker. Like, he's got completely everything in the locker in it, and he's just he's just class. Obviously the Lampard, Gerrard, and Scholes debate. I am obviously more. I feel like it's closer between Lampard and Scholes, to be honest. Obviously people go for Gerrard a lot, and I feel like him and Lampard are just very, very similar. Just because Lampard got more goals, and if you've got a midfielder that's playing ridiculously well and getting your goals as well, it's such a good thing to have, because you're not as reliant on the you're not as reliant on your strikers. And then you even bring like Roy Keane into the debate, but Roy Keane's a completely different midfielder.
Yeah, so Roy Keane, I'd say, with like Patrick Vieira, who's better out of them two. I mean, personally, I'd say Vieira, but that is technically. I mean, I know this is a United channel and made lose view, but for me, Roy Keane was a fantastic player for United. There's no two ways about it. He was a dirty bastard, and it did let him down. But the way he left United, he became a bitter cunt. I'm gonna fucking say I don't care. He became a bitter cunt, and since 2005 he has carried on being a bitter cunt. And when he's on Sky, if it's before the game, I'll turn on at like 2 minutes to 4 or 2 minutes before the game. At halftime, I'll mute it and I'll mute the whole fucking 15 minutes and I'll turn off straight up because I don't listen to him. I see stuff. I see sometimes videos of him on Facebook and sometimes he'll praise United and I'm like, oh fuck off, will you? You like last season you were bloody so critical of us when we needed backing. I mean, yeah, some of the stuff he does say is the truth, but he's just such a bitter twat. I mean, whoever gave him a microphone to be a pundit, seriously, they need to sack him because I can't stand him.
Obviously,
he's never in my United 11.
I get what you're saying. I feel, but it's one of the best things Sky's ever done. I think getting Keane because the views they get on YouTube alone just for a Keane video racks the money in, done it. So that's why they've got him. To be honest, I mute pretty much every pundit. Like I can't stand them. Like obviously there might be a couple. Like Match of the Day's excruciating at times for me because they've got most of the pundits have got an agenda. And then do you know what I mean? So yeah, Shearer and Danny Murphy and all. Absolutely.
The best one for me on Match of the Day is Dion Dublin.
Dion Dublin, on going off topic, but have you seen him on Holmes Under the Hammer? What's all that about? Dion Dublin on Holmes Under the Hammer. That's crazy. Yeah, Wrighty on Match of the Day is class. Really. He's really good, just having a laugh with. But yeah, I mute a lot of pundits. Probably the one I most like is probably Jamie Redknapp. To be honest, I feel like he's hardly biased. He's obviously going to give an opinion sometimes that you don't agree with because opinions that's your own opinion. It's your own opinion, but Gabby is shocking. So the Busby Spirit. Yeah, I totally agree. He says some crap. He's not the worst though.
No, I say the worst is Steve McManaman. I can't either him or Savage.
No,
who would you say is
Savage
worse?
Isn't the worst. Savage is funny because if I'm ever putting a bet on and then I hear a prediction from Savage and it's my bet, I scribble out my bet and chuck it because it never comes in. He's shocking at that. But no, Robbie Savage isn't the worst. Have you got any others?
See, for me, I'm going to say two of the best, and knowing you'll probably say this is one of your worst. But me personally, two of the best for me is Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. The only thing with Carragher is it pisses me off when Liverpool are playing and he'll shout down the mic when they score. I know Gary Neville did it a few weeks ago when United went 1-0 up, although I didn't hear it. I saw that the next day. I was too busy shouting. But Carragher is much, much worse for it. He'll literally shout so much that you'll hear. Gary Neville did a little cheer. But I do, even though Carragher's a Scouse bastard and stuff like that, he does actually speak sense. I don't agree that he should still have a job. I think after the spitting incident, I think he should have been sacked. But he does speak decent. And Gary Neville, he'll criticise United, he'll praise United, but he'll also praise the other teams. And I think Gary Neville is number one for me all day long.
In the pre-season reviews where they have that overlap, don't they? In that, he was one of the only pundits saying Arsenal are going to have a good season. All the others were just 5th and 6th. They were still like saying we're a bit better, but he was the only one to predict that we could break into the top 4. So because of that, I'll push him up a bit. But I've never really got on board with Gary Neville. But the worst pundit easily is Jamie O'Hara. Absolute shocking, mate.
Yeah,
it's so biased, it's unreal. I feel like TalkSport have said to him, listen, your biased predictions and your biased reviews get us extra views, so just carry on doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really listen to TalkSport, just because I normally only listen to it when I'm in the car with my friend, because he has it on. And some of the stuff I hear on it, I'm like, what the fuck? I mean,
What?
Tim
So
Sherwood, he's a knob as well. The only one really on TalkSport that's any good is Ali McCoy. He says it how
I
it is.
tell you who's good, who I like on TalkSport, Simon Jordan,
Yeah.
the ex Crystal Palace chairman.
Mhm.
He's pretty sound. I don't see any bias in it. I like Jordan. Jordan does the show with Jim White. Jim White's
Mm.
obviously a legend from his transfer deadline day.
Yeah, with a dildo.
Yeah, and obviously they who else? Who else? Laura Woods is decent as well. But
Yeah.
she's probably biased to Arsenal in some points, but she kind of like shuts Jamie O'Hara down sometimes,
Yeah.
and then they can't handle it.
Mhm.
But yeah,
I
Jamie
think she was the one I met. I worked I think it was Milton Keynes Liverpool game, League Cup about 2-3 years ago at MK Stadium, and I was in the lift, and there was this blonde woman, and I recognised her from somewhere, and I can't remember if it was Laura Woods or one of the other ones, and I completely forgot like to ask for autograph and stuff like that. But yeah, but going on, obviously you mentioned Simon Jordan, ex owner manager. Let's go back. Let's go to another story. Hello, Munzi. Thank you.
thanks for tuning in.
I think he's an owner anyway. The new Chelsea owner, whatever his name is.
Bowler,
Yeah, that's it, Bowley. It sounds like a disease.
bowler,
Yeah, it does. It sounds like polio or yeah, it's like
Ebola,
yeah,
bowler.
yeah, Ebola. Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a virus,
Yeah,
disease. But then again, he is at Chelsea, so. But anyway, he suggested doing a North versus South like the Americans do. And what's your take on it? Would you like to see it? Would you go? Would you watch it? Could you get along with it? Or
um, as long as he suggested doing it for grassroots football and the money to go into grassroots football. If that is actually what happened, then yeah,
Mhm.
I'm all for it. I don't know where you stand on this one, and this might be a bit touchy. I've got some views that I could never share online because it would cancel me all day long.
hey,
But
you can say
I'm
your
not
views, mate.
I'm not on board with what that the celebrity game they do every year, that
Soccer aid.
what Soccer Aid, yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's just it's there's that charity bit which is why they do, but it's just celebs wanting to play football, and
mm,
then it's on TV and people are buying tickets, and I'll they could tell you how much goes to charity, but I wouldn't believe it for a second. And they're probably getting paid to be there or something like that.
it's the
Um,
same. It's the same with other charities like Children in Need, Comic Relief. I don't believe that all the money that they make goes there. I honestly don't.
well,
Um,
big charities have shareholders, don't they? And so what you donate will go to them before it breaks down. And a lot of them, if you give £1, about 2p goes to the actual charity.
exactly.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
I mean, there's been a few times where I thought, you know what, I might go watch Soccer Aid, but I'm like, if I'm going as a football fan, and I'm going to see certain players. So when Cantona was announced, I was like, I've got to fucking go. I mean, I've got to go see my legend, my hero, all day long, and I didn't go in the end, due to it being at Old Trafford, and it's like £80, I think, on the train now, and it was just at the time I wasn't earning enough, so I couldn't. But I'm not interested. I mean, I admit when it first started, there was celebs, but now half the players I don't even know. It's like Pie Face. I I don't know his name. He's a YouTuber, and I'm gonna say it, and I don't care if he sees it. He'll probably agree. He used to be really fat, like huge, and he's lost loads of weight now. So he actually looks like Augustus Gloop from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory after he's gone up the tube, and he's all thin and stretchy. That's what he looks like now. And if he sees this, oh well. But I think he was on it this year or last year, and I'm like, a YouTuber? You trying to tell me that YouTube is now a celeb? I mean, I'll be honest. If Soccer Aid Soccer Aid see this and go, David, Ryan, do you want to do Soccer Aid next year? I'll probably say no.
I would no. I won't go
Yeah,
along.
I wouldn't see myself. I wouldn't see myself as a celeb. And
I
it's
know
just,
who, I've just looked him. Yeah, I know who you mean. I didn't
yeah.
know he went. That's ridiculous.
I think he did. I'm not sure, but I
He,
mean,
he was in Big Brother, like years ago.
I think,
Yeah, I'm sure he was in.
what celebrity Big Brother or normal Big
No,
Brother?
no, just the normal one. The normal one, which became kind of a separate one because they were like, oh, some such person's my dad, and like the
Yeah.
Love Island stuff, like Gemma Owen and that, like Michael.
I don't watch Love Island, but yeah.
Stuff. Well, obviously, I don't go anywhere near it, but you see like news reports and crap. Even when you don't want to see stuff, you see it. So it's not normal people anymore. Like it's not normal Northerners or Southerners or whatever. But we've got a bit off point. So the North South v North game. If it was a charity game, I would get involved. I would like. Obviously, people are saying like who would win it and whatever, but how serious would it be? Obviously, it's not going to be too serious because they won't want to be injured for the actual games. I don't know if they'd get people to do it because I think the way the money works with in America is possibly a bit different, especially like in MLS football. The money's different there with how it like gets given to the teams from the league to get the players and all that stuff. So they basically the league would tell them to compete in it and they'd have to, whereas over here they wouldn't. So would it be the biggest players? Obviously, if you look at it as like if you just pretend like obviously that it was the biggest players and they did try the best and they acted like it was a local derby, it would be a fabulous game. But like, how serious would it be? Do you know what I mean?
And the thing is, you get people that are like, well, why is he playing and not this player? I mean, I did my own team, and I'll tell you. So my Northern team was Ederson in goal, and people would be like, well, why not De Gea? Why not Alisson?
Alisson, yeah. Like you say the player, right, and I'll tell you who it should be.
Oh, right back, Trippier.
Trippier, right back. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah. See, some people could say Arnold, but I think he's shit.
No, I don't know. He's good getting forward. His defending's shocking.
My central defense is Martinez and Diaz.
How many games has Martinez played for?
In the league, yeah. But I mean, he's played 5 games and he's only conceded 2 in 5. So, and we played Liverpool in 1 and Arsenal in another. I mean, yeah, you could say Virgil van Dijk, but I think he's overrated. I think he's been found out.
I go mainly because he's struggled this season, but because of past season, I go Van Dijk all day. Who's his partner?
Diaz from City.
City Diaz.
Yeah,
quality player.
And then at left back, Cancelo's
out of this world. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the central midfielders are Bruno, Kevin De Bruyne, and Eriksen.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Where is Bruno? Who?
Fernandes.
Oh, so not Guimaraes then? No.
There's only one Bruno.
Bruno Guimaraes. If we're talking like it's a real game and they're trying, you're just watching Fernandes doing that all the time. When he'll pass to a player and that pass won't come off and he'll blame that player. The player won't pass to him right and he'll blame that player. No, Bruno Guimaraes is an awesome player. I feel like I could possibly go Bruno in there, but I end up just forgetting players sometimes, and
I do.
oh yeah,
do. I did my Southern team and I completely forgot somebody, and I'm like, how the hell did, and I couldn't be asked changing it. And then my strikers, you've got Rashford on the left, Anthony on the right, with Haaland up top. I just can't think of I just couldn't think of anybody.
Anthony's played one game.
I know, but I just couldn't think of any. I couldn't think of anybody else on the right, personally, from the north.
Are we not? Would you not go Salah?
I think he's. I don't think he's any good anymore.
Yeah, he's done the classic thing of signing the big contract and then
Yes.
ducking. He's done that.
I mean, my Southern team. You, apart from maybe one player, but I'll tell you who I forgot, and he would probably. I think the Southern team will probably be more. I mean, don't forget United. I mean, I can't be a bit. I've got to be a
Your
bit.
Southern team's definitely winning, and I've not even heard it just because
No, the
just because of the United bias to the.
I've got Ramsdale in goal.
Yeah.
I can't think of another goalie in the South. There's no way I'm putting Lloris in. Lloris for me is overrated. He should have left like 3 years ago.
Obviously, Southern goalkeepers. Yeah, you've got Lloris, who could be in the conversation. Not for me.
No.
You've got Mendy, who's got a mistake in him.
Yes.
You've got David Raya from Brentford, who is a top keeper, under the radar a bit. Yeah, those I'd go if it was an England squad, for example. You're looking at Ramsdale, Mendy, or Raya for me.
Yeah, I mean, right back. I think I can't think of anybody else but this player, and that's Reece James.
Reece James is a top right back. I'm from Wigan, so he was at Latics for a season in Championships Player of the Year, and I think he was 18, 19. He's England's right back for me, and if it's Trent in there, it's just another sign of Southgate does not know what he's doing.
No, Fofana and Gabriel at centre back. Fofana more for what he did at Leicester. I rate Fofana, and again, my centre backs, I couldn't really think of anybody decent apart from maybe Gabriel. I could have put Saliba in, but I didn't want to be biased towards Arsenal and put loads of Arsenal players in.
Yeah, Saliba again, the same way with what I say with Martinez, with
Martinez.
Antony. Like they've not played enough, have they? Fofana's had a quality season. Thiago Silva, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I did think him, but I think he's just too old now. And
yeah, and then he's not played a lot, but Kubala is a strong defender. You know, the Chelsea signing.
Yeah, I did want him at United.
He was class at Napoli. So possibly Kubala and Gabriel.
I mean, my left back, I've actually done a Gareth Southgate. I picked somebody that don't play for his team, and that's Tierney.
Tierney is a very sound left back. Tierney, Chilwell, Cucurella, Zinchenko. Sound left backs. But Tierney is a defender left back, but his attacking still still sound. He can cross a very good ball, but as a defender, he's just class. And then the Scottish defenders like Robertson as well. Obviously, Scottish players are stern, aren't they? So he just doesn't duck from challenges. Probably why he's injured all the time. Probably getting like stuck in training, getting injured all the time. But yeah, so Tierney will be playing at weekend, so he's played.
First chance to shine. Yeah. So my central midfielders was Odegaard, Ward-Prowse, and Tielemans, and then I realised I'd left Declan Rice out. So I would put Declan Rice in instead of Tielemans. So it would be Rice, Ward-Prowse, Odegaard. For me, Ward-Prowse is a brilliant player. He needs to move to a bigger club, in my opinion. preferably United. I'd love him at United. Tielemans is great. Rice is good. Odegaard. I think. I can't think of anyone. I can't think of anyone from the Chelsea team that I would put in there. I can say possibly, but I think he's getting on. Mount, no way. Jorginho, no way. And I can't think of any Tottenham players I could stick in there. Honestly, I think people go on about Tottenham's teams so good, and I can't even think of a Tottenham central midfielder that's any decent.
Bentancur is okay. I think he's been one of their better ones when he came in when he went to him in January. But yeah, without looking into it myself, because like I've not like because I'll forget him like what you said. Even when you were saying it, Declan Rice didn't come to mind. Yeah, I think that's a sound one.
And then up front, I would have Jesus, Ivan Toney, and Sterling. I know I've left a certain player out, but I think he's overrated.
Who? Harry Kane. Yeah. See what I mean? Who? I didn't even think. I'll say Kane just because he does get the goals. And then obviously Jesus and Sterling. Yes. Yeah. Sterling's not lost it yet. He's still only. I think he's only late 20s, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's still going to pop up with them goals.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would actually like to see Ivan Toney start for England in one of these two games, because one of the problems that England had at the Euros is Kane was shit. He was shit. Well, I didn't watch the first game. I'll admit, I can't remember who it was against, but he was shit. Then I decided to watch the Scotland game, and he was shit. I can't remember who played in the third game. And I think when the third game come on, I'm like, come on, why don't we drop Kane? Why don't we play Calvert-Lewin?
Third game was Germany.
In the group?
I'm sure that was Germany.
No, I don't think we had them in the group, did we? I think that was a knockout.
Yeah. Who would have been the third group game then?
I can't remember who we had in all I remember is Scotland. I can't remember who else we had. Croatia, possibly. Czech Republic. No, off the top. I mean, I think we played Germany, Ukraine, Denmark, Italy. I think in the knockouts. I think, but that just shows how much I paid attention to it. But I mean, he didn't really have a good game until he played Germany. But then the Germany team was shit, I was watching games and I was like, why the hell is Kane still on the pitch? He should be hauled off. And what we need now for the World Cup, we need, like we've said sometimes on other streams, for like Saka, they need competition. And I understand. But then again, the problem is with Southgate is I don't think he would take him off. I mean, Calvert-Lewin the season before, he was firing the goals.
That's what I was going to say. We had Calvert-Lewin on the bench who had a good season. I can't remember if we had Tammy Abraham as well. I can't remember, but it was coming from a good season at Roma. So yeah, we did have the players that could have come on, and yeah, exactly. If no matter how good your player is, how big they are, if they're not performing, they should be subbed off. Obviously, you can't discount that moment of class they could have, where they could just go obviously because the form and class thing. Do you know what I mean? So they could have be rubbish and then have that little bit of moment of magic, but. We actually did have the replacement like in Calvert-Lewin, and he will have that replacement in Toney. I mean, to be honest, I think he will play Toney because I don't think he's as bothered about the Nations League. He wasn't last time. He might be now, but he weren't last time. So you might see. I've
actually just checked who we had in the group, and we actually had Croatia and Czech Republic, and I literally
Croatia, but I couldn't because I was thinking Croatia, but then I remember when they knocked us out of the World Cup, and I weren't sure if I was getting it mixed up.
I literally said Croatia and Czech Republic. I was trying to think of European countries that obviously not your big country that wouldn't be seeded, and it was a complete guess by me. I literally just brought it out of the bag. But yeah, and then I said Ukraine, Denmark, Germany. Yeah, see, there's Germany. Yeah. Ukraine, and then Denmark in the semi-final. Yeah. Which, in my opinion, I don't think we deserve to win. I think out of all the games I watched, I watched all of Scotland, all of Denmark, and the final. And I literally watched it for the United players.
Denmark was a big score, weren't it?
Sorry,
Denmark game a big score line.
2-1.
Oh, was it?
It was when I think we missed a penalty or we scored a penalty because I think Kasper Schmeichel saved it.
Yeah, there's a penalty that rebounded and he tucked in the rebound, didn't he?
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
I can't really. I remember there was controversy because there was they were using a laser on Kasper Schmeichel's face. But I remember because it was either Grealish or it was Sterling, and they dived to get a penalty, or it might have even been Kane. Yeah, there we go. We went 1-0 down to that Damsgaard free kick, and then we got an own goal, and then Kane scored.
What a free kick that was! That was a quality goal. Yeah. Grealish, we didn't mention in the England squad, who shouldn't be fucking in it. No. He's played, I think, 1 game, 2 games, come back from injury. He is
dog shit.
For me, very close to becoming a flop for City because his stats are rubbish. He's on the floor all the time. Yeah,
and it's got nothing to me. It's got nothing to do with his price tag. You take 60 million off that price tag and say they got him for 40 million, he'd still be a flop. He's just done absolute nothing for me.
I think it's about 9 or 10 contributions, either scores or assists, and for a 100 million player, that's not it. I feel. And I didn't think he was a Man City player when they signed him. I just didn't. He's a bigger player than Villa, but I don't. He's not that. If you look at like David Silva, your flair players, your players that have got something else. Grealish is a workhorse, and he'll run until he collapses, but he's not that flair player, that City player. That the way they play is completely different to how Grealish played, and there was that thing at the beginning where he was adapting to how they played, so that's why his form. And I understood that at the beginning. I got that, but then he's been there too long now, and he still doesn't seem to adapted. And he's only just come back from an injury. He shouldn't be picked because he's injured.
I mean, he's played 5 games this season, 39 last season, so 44 games. He's got 6 goals, 4 assists, and
that 10. I'll bang on with that. So yeah,
and they were all last season. Granted, it doesn't. I mean, in the Premier League just last season, he played 1,916 minutes, got 3 goals, 3 assists. To me, it's just not good enough.
No,
in my opinion.
No.
Not. I didn't want him. I didn't want him at United. So many. Oh no, I'm just going to turn my light on. 2 seconds. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't want him at United. So many United fans would go, "We should sign Grealish," and I'm like, "No, don't want Grealish. Don't want Grealish." The thing is,
it's more of a Tottenham player for me, because, like I said, he's not got that. He's not that flair player that City have. Is it's more of that playing ball on the floor, pass it, move with it, player, and that what would suit Tottenham, because they're not like Harry Kane's not flary, is it? Do you know what I mean? They've bought Richarlison, I think, to maybe to change that up a bit, but then the coach is a boring coach, so he would have suited Tottenham, and I think his contributions would be better, but City are scoring the most goals in the league, and he's only getting 3 or assisting 3. Nah,
Yeah.
not.
I mean, obviously, granted, last season they didn't really have a proper striker. So I am expecting him to get more assists this year with
Yeah,
Haaland.
but he still scored the most goals in the league.
Yeah.
So
It
even
is
if he
crazy.
didn't have a proper striker, he
Yeah.
still should be getting the assist. It's more
Definitely.
assists.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
with Haaland, if you can whip a ball in, like we've seen in the week, if you whip the ball in, he's going to get a goal. So the
Yeah.
chances are there. And then he might get better stats this year, but that will be because Haaland's made the goal. Maybe you have to see what
Yeah.
happens. But
And
I
yeah.
will tell you right now that he will have just as bad of a season because he's just not good
Mhm.
enough.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I do have I am a bit of a stickler for assists. I think it pretty much goes back to the first game of last season when we played Leeds and Pogba got, I think, 4 of the assists. I mean, I hated Pogba. I wanted him gone 3-4 years ago. And about 2 or 3 of the goals that he assisted, it was the goal scorer was here, or Pogba was here, and Pogba passed the ball to him, and the player shot, and it went in. And I'm like, how the fuck can you put that down as an assist? It was a pass. I understand he was and I'm like, it's a job. It's like it is honestly like, let's
So,
say, you know,
so did you mean you don't like assists? Is that what you meant?
I think an assist has to be something that's a cross or a ball over or a beautiful pass like what Bruno did to Rashford against Arsenal. But the ones where it's a little pass to the player and he shoots, I'm like, it's not an assist. It's just a pass, in my opinion.
Yeah, so
Um,
that's like the stats in it. Obviously, stats don't
yeah.
say the whole picture.
To
For
me,
me,
a proper assist is like what Bruno did to Rashford against Arsenal. That was a fucking fantastic
for
pass.
me, I love the players that get an assist where they've gone through on goal, just them and the goalkeeper, and they square it across for the other player.
Bit like Ericsson against Arsenal.
Okay, I don't know. A bit like what Henry would do, and Iñaki Perez, them kind of players. That those are the players to have in the squad. The ones that are just, the ones that there was. Did you see the Mbappe highlight from the other week, where he's gone running in on goal? He's not. The angle's shocking. He's got Neymar running in, and he just blasts it. It hit the side of the netting, but because the angle on it, that's the only place it was hitting anyway. Just the players that can look up and play in the middle, those are the players that you need, and those are the assists that I love, especially when it pisses other people off because it's like what is it? You call it a noob goal or whatever.
Yeah.
It's still that they're great. That they're great. Them ones.
Unless it happens to you.
I don't remember it. I don't know what you're on about.
Yeah. But I mean, so obviously you've got Brentford this weekend as that, and obviously we were going on about Ivan Toney. I predicted the other day that Ivan Toney will get a hat trick this weekend, partially because it's against Arsenal. I've got nothing against Arsenal, but now I'm getting a few more Arsenal friends. I've got to wind them up a bit more. I still say that Arsenal's finishing second in the league. But I think this weekend Ivan Toney will do the business against Arsenal. So obviously Zinchenko's injured, but obviously you've got a perfect replacement in Tierney. Is Partey back or?
I've not heard the final word actually, so I'm not 100%. It was saying that he would be back. I'm not, like I said, I'm not 100%.
Yeah. So what do you think the what's your prediction for the score then?
Ivan Toney's not getting an hat trick. Has he scored an hat trick in the Premier League before?
It's always the first time for everything.
It's not coming against us, mate. Yeah, he's a quality striker. I would defo if you're betting, go on a score and win, because we have got that where we have got the ability to concede. I do feel like it's going to be. I think that's going to be contested. I feel like it's going to be close because Brentford are a good side. They're not the rollover sides. I I'll predict very similar to what I predicted against Palace on the first game, where I would have took a draw at the beginning, just because we got mauled there 3-0, and it wouldn't have been the perfect start, but for me, it would have been an improvement, because I have always, throughout my time, looked at the previous year's results, and then so if you're drawing at somewhere you lost last season, that's a point gained in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, a lot of people go on about the Brentford Arsenal game last season at Brentford, and people mocked it. And I'm like, hold on a minute, Brentford have just come up from the Championship. They've got a point to prove, and I'm not saying Arsenal
we had
them,
we had
but
we had
they
so
had a
many
point to
players
prove.
out. We had so
Yeah.
many players out. We had like Balogun up front, and I think Pepe was playing maybe, and I can't remember the team that we had so many players out. There was a case for it to be called off, and it weren't. We got the Tottenham game called off in the end at one point, but yeah, we had so many players. For them first 3 games, it wasn't the full team to any stretch of the imagination, and obviously Ben White was his first game, so you've got that on top of it. So we're completely different now. But Brentford are still strong, if not stronger, because they're more experienced in the Premier League.
Yes.
In Thomas Frank, they've got one of the better managers in the league for me as well.
Yes.
I think he's really, really sound. So I do anticipate a close game, but I do fancy us for the win. I feel like because of the United result, especially,
Yes.
we've got a point to prove.
Mhm.
So I do fancy us for the win. I think it'll be close. I think it could be like a 2-1 or 3-1, kind of like a close 2-1, and then us getting a goal to ease it off.
Yeah, on the break, yeah. Bit like
We've
what
not had
United did.
we've not had a big performance in the last couple of games from Jesus, so I feel like it could be Jesus's week.
Yes.
Uh, Obviously, again with Saka as well, who's not at any point that they'll turn it on and they'll play. Like we've had a couple of players not been playing 100%, and we still won 5 on the bounce. So if we can get all our players firing, I think
Yeah.
we want to be sound. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm
I
just
would
looking at
say 2-1, 3-1.
I say 3-2 to Brentford with an Ivan Toney hat trick. But I'm just looking back at the team last year, and you had Leno in goal, Tierney, White, Chambers, and Murray in defence. So
Chambers
technically,
and Maria.
you had three centre backs and one fullback. Then you had Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Pepe, Lokonga, and Grant Xhaka in the midfield with Balogun up front. And then obviously you took Balogun off for Saka in the 59th minute, brought Nelson on for Martinelli and Nuno Tavares for Callum Chambers. But yeah,
That's a shocking side. The subs, barring Saka, are shocking. Saka was coming back from England, so he was still fatigued with that.
It wasn't just fatigue as well. We didn't know you didn't know how he would have reacted to the penalty miss. And as I said in the past, I look at Saka and I look at Rashford, and I'm not saying that affected Rashford for the last season because he was injured from January onwards. He shouldn't have gone to the Euros. Comes back and he just wasn't the same player. And I just think maybe he was still injured. I don't know. But I also think maybe the penalty miss affected him. Whereas Saka, it didn't let him affect him. If anything, it made him a better player. And that's why last season I thought Saka was one of the best players in the league.
Yeah. He showed he showed an elite mentality to bounce back from that. And I feel it was mainly with him, but the Arsenal fans to rally around him, and there was a massive wall at training just full of letters and support for him. And there was a Tottenham game. I don't know if it was a friendly. I can't quite remember, but the Tottenham fans were applauding him. They were stood up.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I think it was friendly.
Yeah, that was like, it's not just football. It's different, and the support they got, and Rashford got the support too. But
Yeah, he
that's
did.
why I say obviously is the mentality side, because obviously Rashford's got the memorial in Withington, which was a massive place at one point. I went down there. There's just you could feel the love in the town.
It's just a shame. Just a shame some idiots had to deface it, but unfortunately, that's just
idiots are idiots. There was more love there than what there was hatred. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at your team that you played at Arsenal. You had Ramsdale in goal, so completely different. Then you had Tierney, White, Gabriel, and Cedric in defence, with Partey, Saka, Odegaard, Smith, and Granit Xhaka with Lacazette up front. So obviously, your forward line's going to be Jesus this season. Your midfield, I don't know, and then probably the only change in the defence, maybe Ben White for Cedric.
Ben White's injured, I think. I've heard that he's injured, so it'll be Tomiyasu. And I'd prefer it to be Tomiyasu anyway. I think he's a proper right back.
Yeah, that's what you said after United beat Arsenal. I didn't understand why Tomiyasu didn't play, but personally, if he wants to try and fit Ben White, Gabriel, Saliba into the team, play 3 centre backs with Tomiyasu and Tierney / Zinchenko as full backs and play 5, but then it's not really the Arsenal way.
Obviously, yeah, I don't like that formation. I think it's too boring. But I think it's one. It's just if it isn't broke, don't fix it. I wouldn't. I'm not one to change a winning side. What's the point? So I feel like that's why. That would have been probably the only change I would have made. Having Zinchenko. Not Zinchenko, sorry. I mean Tomiyasu playing in instead of White at right back. Not taking away from White being a centre back because he was top class for us last season. So, but yeah, them two sides are like worlds apart, pretty much, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, like the Chelsea game, we were weak. The side was weak. The City game, side was weak. As the play started coming back, we started going on a better run. So yeah, it's a different side this weekend. Couple of new signings. Obviously Jesus, and then a couple of different signings on the bench to make the bench a bit stronger than the last game. Our bench still isn't strong enough, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you win Sunday, you're obviously going into the international break top of the league, which I think any Arsenal fan would have took if they told you that at the start of the season. Going into the international break top. Obviously, if you draw, you may drop down, but I just don't. I'm just a bit annoyed that United and Leeds are not on. I hate it when it's international break because it affects the team so much, in my opinion, not playing. And now to miss out on 2 weekends when obviously everybody missed last weekend, but this weekend, I mean, luckily we had Europa League, so we were able to play our full strength team minus Rashford. But then it's just I also don't know when we're gonna be able to play Leeds or I think we had Palace last weekend.
That's the thing. Obviously, they get postponed and then they form in on a Wednesday. And like last season, when our games got postponed, you'd have a game formed between Chelsea and Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? And then so that's just shocking. Obviously,
who were you supposed to have last weekend?
I can't remember.
No, yeah, but I mean, it's like I have seen today that talking about the Chelsea Liverpool game that's been postponed in United Leeds. Apparently, UEFA's allowed them to be played on a Wednesday. But then I'm looking at it, I'm like, hold on a minute, Chelsea and Liverpool are in Champions League already. So what are they going to do? Go play Premier League game and not play the Champions League game. I don't think so. And United's in Europe on the Thursday, so they're not going to play that. So I don't understand that. I think it's a load of. I think somebody just made a bullshit story up. To be honest, I don't understand it. But it's like 2 years ago when we played Liverpool at Old Trafford, and the fans decided to break into Old Trafford, smashing the door in, and got the game abandoned. We ended up playing, I think, 3 games in 7 days because of it. I think we played. I think we played Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, or something, or Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, or something. And luckily, at that point, we'd had a good lead to finish second in the league. If it had been going in where we had to win those games to get top 4, it would have been, because we played Liverpool and we lost. We put a full strength team out, but then against Leicester, we put a completely weakened team out, and I think we got beat again, just because they couldn't play because they played 2 days earlier. Obviously, that wasn't because of a royal; it was because of our own idiotic fans, and I stand by it. I want the Glazers out. I'll say that, but I'm not going to break into Old Trafford. I'm not going to do criminal damage to force them out. I love my club more than I support United more than I support Glazers out all day long, and I would never ever break into Old Trafford and be like the idiots on the pitch that day. I wanted the game to go ahead, and it's crazy. I just. It was just ridiculous, and yeah, they can say that it what they did worked, because a couple of days later the Super League got cancelled, and one of the owners came out and said that he was going to talk to the players and team and the fans. And to me, they're still the Glazers are still here, so it didn't affect them that much. And then obviously everyone's like, oh look, we've signed Casemiro, we've signed Antony, after complaining about signing the ex-West Ham player, I can't think of his name, Arnautovic. And some people are happy that we've signed players. Some people are like, I'm still Glazers out. I'm happy we've signed the players, but I still want the Glazers out. Obviously, the people who are happy are sort of like sucking up to the Glazers, like, oh yeah, there you go, you got the players. The thing is, people can say we want the Glazers out, but for me, I want the success on the pitch, and I don't really care who the owners are. I want the Glazers out, but I mean, I'm not gonna forget that since Glazers got there, I think we won 3 of the next 4 premierships. We won the Champions League. We got to 3 Champions League finals in about 3 years. So I ain't gonna just pretend that we've not been successful when the Glazers have been here, because it's fucking crazy. Yes, since Ferguson left, we haven't been successful. But people can blame the Glazers all they want, but they're not the ones playing the football, that shit football that we played last season on the pitch, or the shit football that we played against Brentford or Brighton this season. You can shout at Glazers out all you want, but they're not the ones performing on the pitch or not performing on the pitch. And it just winds me up sometimes when it's all the blame goes on the Glazers and not the players. And I'm sorry, but the players have to take the flak just as much as the Glazers, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's always a tough one when you've got owners that you want out. It's just obviously we've been there, could be still there, but is what it is. It was Everton that we got called off, which is more annoying because Pickford's injured. And then when we play him next, he's going to be back in.
Oh, is that why he's not in the England squad?
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought he wasn't picked because he was shit.
He's been playing all right from the season. He's been doing all right.
He played well. He played well against Liverpool. It was actually one of the only games. I was bored. I was at home by myself, and I thought I'll watch it. I think I didn't have the sound on. I watched it, and Everton destroyed him. Liverpool played absolutely shit that day.
Yeah,
and yet surprisingly, Pickford got the man of the match. But I thought Liverpool was shit.
So yeah, they wouldn't have had Pickford, and then we've got the PSV game got called off. The PSV game has been moved to October 20th, which is when we was playing Man City. So that City game's now going to get moved in the middle of God knows, probably 2 days after a United game and a day before Tottenham game or something stupid like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It always does. It's so annoying. I had a ticket for the City game, 20th of October. I've got a train booked that I now can't get refunded. That's a pain in the ass. Just pain in the ass.
Can you not try get? Is it the same day as the City game, the PSV? So can you try get a ticket for the PSV game?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'll see what happens.
Yeah,
Probably just go
go
down there and sit outside the stadium, or just go down and watch it in a local pub, which I might do anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy. I mean, it's annoying for me. I mean, I'm only hoping now that the United Leeds game gets put on TV because it wasn't actually on Sunday. But at the moment I'm out of work at the moment, but I'm hoping to try and either find a job quickly, and I might actually end up down at the Emirates. I think it's November time. Man United women are playing, I think 12th or the 13th, something like that, on a Sunday, and like the tickets are £12, and where I live, it's like £15 to London on the train. It's so much cheaper to go to London now it is to go to Old Trafford. I haven't been to Old Trafford in years just because of the prices of the tickets, train tickets. So I mean, I've been to Wembley when we played Tottenham, Chelsea, more the London clubs away games, plus the atmosphere is better. I mean, Arsenal is the only top 6 team that I haven't actually seen play ever. It's the only one. I've seen Tottenham play, I've seen Chelsea, I've seen City, I've seen Liverpool, and none of them have beat them. I've only ever seen United lose about twice, and one was to Milton Keynes. I can't really remember the other one. It might even be only Milton Keynes who beat us. It was the first ever away game that I went to, and I was in the United end because literally Milton Keynes is about 20 minutes from where I lived, and we just got absolutely turned over. But it was crazy. Yeah.
That's the thing. If you're an away fan and you go to away games, a lot of the times you're going to experience losses and draws, aren't you? Because it's tougher.
Yeah.
But
I mean, when we play Tottenham,
fan and being in the atmosphere of an away stand is it's 1 to 10 better than a home game, just because of how there's that you've got more of a spirit, and most of the fans are in the same pub beforehand because you could fit in it, or
and it's not
around the area.
It's not day trippers.
Mm.
I mean, I'll tell you a story now. I went to see United Sunderland a few years ago, and I think it was under Moyes. I went by myself, and I was stood in the Sir Matt Busby stand, so where the players sit, and I was here, and then the Sunderland fans were here, but weren't that anyway. We were playing absolute shit. We were playing absolute shit, and I'm up shouting at the fucking team to get going and stuff like that, and all of a sudden I look around and some United fans are pointing at me, laughing at me, and that just wound me right up. I'm like, don't fucking laugh at me. Get up off your fucking asses and cheer for the fucking team and shit. And they just carried on laughing at me, and I didn't care. I stood up for the whole 90 minutes. Well, I wouldn't say 90 minutes. And then about the 83rd minute, the bloke and some kid that was sat in front of me went. And I'll go back to half time. It was about 40th minute, and some fat guy, he was massive, started walking down the steps. And at this point, I was so pissed off. I was like, it's not fucking half time yet. And he just looked at me. I'm like, oh, I hope your fucking pie chokes you. I just fucking lost it because it pisses me off. It pisses me off. And then about the 83rd minute, some guy and his kid went left, and he started talking to a steward. And I looked, and I was like, oh, here we go. Fucking complaining. So the steward looked at me and he pointed at me to come down the steps. And I'm like, you want me, you come fucking get me. So he had to climb up about 20 rows of stairs, and he comes up halfway, and I look out the corner of my eye and I can see him. He's trying to get my attention. I'm like, you fucking want me, you come and get me. So he walks all the way up, and he's at the end of the line, right? And he's shouting me, and I can hear him, and I'm like, just looking forward, and everyone's poking me. I'm like, piss off. And then he starts coming towards me. So he's like, okay, can you come down? So I was like, okay, fine. So I start walking down and realised I left my bag. So I went and got my bag. So I'm in the concourse, and obviously the game's on the TV, and he's literally so close to me, and I'm like looking up at the TV watching the game, and he's like, "What's your name?" Blah blah blah, thinking, and all of a sudden, and I'm literally ignoring him. He's like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "David." I'm like not even paying attention to him, and all of a sudden, Wayne Rooney scores. I fucking screamed right in his face, ran round the concourse like a lunatic, right, and he's just stood there and he does not look impressed. He ended up taking. He ended up. Yeah, no. He ended up taking my membership off me. So I stormed straight over to the ticket office and had a complaint. And they said that he had no right to take my membership off me. About a week later, I got my membership back with a letter, with a letter saying apologies and stuff, and that he had no right to do it. He was just trying to be a Mr. Big Bollocks. Apparently, he didn't like it because I was swearing a lot, and he said that the bloke in front of me left early because of my swearing. And I'm like, hold on a minute, I was doing it all game. So for him to leave on the 83rd minute, fuck off, will you? He just wanted to get out early, and
Yeah.
I was pissed. I was literally so pissed off with my own fans because if we play Arsenal, we play Liverpool, we play City, we'll sing any song. We'll take the piss out of Liverpool, we'll take the piss out of Chelsea, City. But when we play the small clubs like Tottenham, Sunderland, the fans will just stay silent. And I'm like, why not sing the song about Wayne Rooney or Cantona? And they just don't. And I'm like, this is what really pisses me off. People will go to see United against Liverpool and they'll get up, cheer, scream. When they play smaller clubs, it's not the same. Me personally, I don't give a fuck who we see because I don't go to see the other team. I go see United. I've been to see United, Liverpool. I've been to see United, Barnet. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I one of my last trips to Old Trafford, it was when 2017 when or 2016 when we played Bournemouth and went on the Sunday and the game got abandoned before it kicked off because of a bomb scare. And we ended up going on the Tuesday and we had to win 18-0 to finish top four. So we weren't going to do that. And the crowd was empty because nobody wanted to go and they got the money back. But I went, I didn't care. And there was two women sat in front of me. And for the whole game, I was shouting, cheering. And because it was more empty, I was more loud. I didn't care. I was like, we're going to win 18. And then when we scored, we only need 17. And all of a sudden at half time, they go away, get the cups. And then kickoff starts. And I'm like, where are those two women gone? And I'm like, oh, okay. About 5 minutes into the second half, person who I went with nudges me. And she goes, and I look over, and the two people had moved halfway down the stand because it was too loud. And it's like I don't care if I'm playing City, Bournemouth, if we need to win 18-0 or 1-0. I honestly think that doesn't matter to me.
I mean, you're supporting your team, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's what I said. When you're in the away end, you've got that. You said it's like more of a sense of belonging in there, and you're all just like, it's always louder normally because there's always the famous chant. You're supposed to be at home. Shall we sing the song for you? They're always the popular ones, mainly because you're going to be louder when you're away. You're more up for it. You've travelled down on the train or passing in the car, so you've had your cans as well, so you're all tinned up as well. But
yeah,
it's great as an away fan, 100%.
Yeah, but thanks for coming on, Ryan. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. I don't know when I'm going to do my next show, guys, because United don't have a game now for a couple of weeks, which is Manchester City. But I'll probably do one maybe next week, international duty. I don't know what to talk about. You never know, something might happen in football that is worth a video. But thank you, Ryan, for coming on. I appreciate it.
No problem, man, mate.
And thank you very much, guys, for watching. Please
watched. Thanks for all the comments. Great stuff. Like I said, just subscribe to Dave's channel, doing big things.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, and please share it around. More likes, the better. All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers.